Hi, my name is Andrew Slegemelch and I'm a clinical psychologist, and today I wanted to talk about a complaint that is often brought into my office or I hear about on the phone, and it has to do with laziness. People being described as being lazy, and they say, Dr. Slegemelch, what do I do about this laziness? So the first way I approach this, and I want to approach this, is I don't actually like the term lazy. I don't like the term laziness, and for a couple of reasons. The one is that when I look at these behaviors that are described to me and I compare it to what I think of as laziness as an explanation for these behaviors, it's actually quite rare. I don't meet many people and haven't met many people that I would describe as lazy. And I'll tell you why in a second, because I have a better way to describe it from that perspective. So the other piece that I've worked on is this idea that I think laziness has a very negative connotation. I think it is tied to moralism. I think lazy people are bad, and productive people are good. And I find that language to be not helpful at all. And so when somebody is accused of being lazy, immediately it's a negative, and they tend to kind of shut down or defend themselves. So I like to reframe this a little bit, and rather than talking about laziness, I would like to describe it as motivational issues. So when I encounter something that is a motivational issue or a motivational problem, I found that there's usually two sets of explanations for the development or recurrence of a motivational issue. And really, these two sets are two sides of the same coin. The first set is I see problems with motivation when the demands of the environment increase or the supports in the environment decrease, or both. And this should happen all the time, especially in school and with school-aged children, because as you get older, the material should get harder, so the demands should increase. And also, you're supposed to be more independent in your work, so the supports decrease. So I think problems with motivation can be, and should be occurring as a natural part of the aging process, as part of getting older. And so the other side of that same coin are what I call motivation killers. And there are two of these as well, again, related to the other two that I talked about. But the two motivation killers are skills deficits and what I will just call an insufficient or ineffective reward structure. So an example of a skills deficit often comes up with things like homework. Parents will say she puts her homework off, or she just drags it out, or procrastinates. Oftentimes when I investigate these things, what I find is either one or multiple skills deficits. So usually when I encounter a kid who's doesn't do their homework or refuses to do their homework and prefers to do other things instead, I find deficits in content, like they don't understand the things that they're supposed to be doing or practicing for homework, like math or literature. I find deficits in planning skills, like they don't know when or for how long to do it, or even prioritization, like what's most important to do or what's most important to spend most time on. So addressing skills deficits in these areas oftentimes will extinguish some of the laziness that people are seeing, because we've addressed motivation. Regarding insufficient reward structure, this happens classically when parents tell me that they can't get their kid out of bed in the morning. So he's just so lazy. I have to yell at him to get out of bed. And usually what I've discovered is the cost of, there's really no cost of not getting up for these kids. So, or getting up seems to be worse than not getting up. And this might not make a whole lot of sense, but for a lot of people who won't get out of bed, staying in bed is worth it. Even though there are costs to not getting out of bed, it's still worth it to stay in bed. So we got to kind of invert the reward schedule here. Either make it more costly to stay in bed than to get out of bed, or you can make getting out of bed good. Uh, and so when we talk about working on motivation around reward structure, it's really about reorganizing and tipping the scales in the balance of the behavior that you want. There's lots of application to this, but my first process, or the first way that I deal with or address issues around laziness, is to really kind of frame it correctly and then look at what might be causing the problems with motivation. And I just wanted to share with you some insights about how I do this. Again, I'm Andrew Slegemelch. Thank you.